understanding, for example, how much better it would be for us to have a better work-life balance, for example, or to be able to grow our own food. So Greens, everything's interconnected. Greens have been pushing for more allotments throughout London. And to be able to grow your own food means that you're going to lower your carbon footprint automatically, because every time you visit a supermarket, there's the packaging, there's the waste, and there's the fact it's being flown from sometimes halfway around the world because it isn't seasonal and it isn't local. So thought of like that, we can reduce our carbon footprint, particularly in the United Kingdom, which we need to do through this kind of joined up approach.
Thank you, Sharon. Chair, can I just come in on this as well?
Okay, very quick.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. I know you didn't ask the question of me directly. The fact is, climate change is a fact, and we have to stop it. And the only way we're going to stop it is by legislation, which is why the European Union is a great forum to do that. And if we look at various things, for example, we've had seatbelts in cars for many years, but we have to have legislation to actually make us wear them. And we've seen serious injury cut immensely because we now wear seatbelts. The point is, though, when we try to look for various green solutions, there seems to be so much conflicting information out there. We hear some people saying that wind turbines are good, and then others saying that, well, no, they don't actually work, and they'll only work in the North Sea. I've tried various things to find, when I was doing new plumbing, to find, do I use heat pumps, air-sourced heat pumps, ground-sourced heat pumps? Can I use a wind turbine? Where on earth do I get photovoltaic cells from? And it's such a difficult minefield out there to just find out what the right thing to do is. I ended up with an air-sourced heat pump, and now I think I've done the wrong thing. And maybe invested money completely in the wrong way. So there needs to be much better information, but it seems like various political parties want to argue with each other in order to gain some sort of popular message out of it, rather than getting down to the nitty-gritty. But I'll tell you something else that's important. And that is that natural resources, in terms of renewable energy, are severely underdeployed in various hot countries, especially in terms of photovoltaic, especially in terms of just using sun's radiation to heat water, for example. And the underdeveloped countries don't have the money, and to be quite frank with you, the issues and social issues that they have, green issues, are pretty much not that important. You need to deal with more immediate issues of health and sanitation, etc. I think it's really incumbent upon the European Union and richer countries to start making sure that aid is going, not to government pockets, but to various agencies that can help develop renewable energies in those countries. Because if we're really concerned about global warming, and it's a global warming, it's not about just limiting emissions in Europe. It's also about setting up infrastructures in other countries so they don't tread the same path that we're treading. And it seems that, I've heard about your the initiative that you talked about, Chris, and it's excellent. But that can be rolled out across the world far more easier than is currently happening. But it seems to be that politics is getting in the way. And we see so much aid going to various countries, but it's not going to where it has to go. It ends up going to politicians and governments. So I just wanted to say that I believe in that we have to stop global warming, but there are various avenues that we can pursue to do that.
Thank you. So, please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you very much for coming up here and talking to us at these hustings. I'd just like to point out that the Conservatives have not bothered turning up, and I think that Muslims should reciprocate come election day. My question, actually I've got two questions, are directed to Mary and Christopher. And they are, Gaza has been blockaded for a number of years. Do you back a boycott of Israeli goods? If not, why not? And I have a follow-up question for Christopher, which is, Sarah Ludford is a Zionist. What number is she on the Lib Dem list, please?
Okay, great. I'll jump with the lines then there. Well, on Gaza,
My view is a blockade of Israel won't actually make much of a difference. I'm very, very glad that President Obama has told Netanyahu that no more settlements to be built. I think it's the first positive sign I've heard from an American president for a decade. I mean, for me, it's a very good first step. Our party is about to renew its policy on this, but the number 2 candidate and myself, I'm number 4, are of the same mind that the two-state solution, as proposed even by Obama and the others, will not work. We have to go for a single-state solution. And I want us to redouble our efforts now to work towards that. A few years ago, I mentioned this to representatives of the Knesset, and they listened politely, but you could see they had no serious intention to listen. But if we can get the European Parliament to endorse this, and I believe more and more of us are realizing the two-state solution won't work, if we get the European Parliament to endorse this, and I believe there are sensible people in the administration in the US, I think we can force a change. If Israel doesn't doesn't follow the opinion of the Parliament and Europe, then boycott. But my personal view is that boycott has to be a last resort, because boycott often often punishes poor people who suffer. And remember, there are many Arabs in Israel, so have it there as a possibility on the table, but don't use it on the initially.
But Gaza has been blockaded right now, and it has been blockaded for a number of years, and the EU backs that blockade.
Well, I know, and it's appalling. I've got friends who are working in Gaza. It's absolutely outrageous. But I want to see much more attention now on a one-state solution. I don't think we should reciprocate by just boycotting Israel. Let's actually get Netanyahu together with Barroso, head of the parliament, and say enough's enough.
When would you like to lift the boycott of Gaza then?
I'd like to do it tomorrow. It's outrageous.
Have you called for that?
Sorry?
Have you called for that?
But I'm number 4 on the candidate. I appreciate the question. It's the first time I've been asked this. Have I called for it? No, I haven't.
As is your party?
Well, Sarah Ludford, this is your second point. Sarah Ludford is a Zionist. She's completely out of step with the rest of the party. Completely out of step. The number 2 and the number 4 myself, we do not agree with her at all. But nonetheless, we're a broad church. She's out of step. She's had her knuckles wrapped. They've been wrapped again. So there you are. There's one Zionist in the party, and there are 2 or 3 anti-Zionists.
Christopher, my question was, what number is she? What number candidate?
She's number 1. She's the lead candidate.
She's the lead candidate in your party?
Yeah.
She's a Zionist?
Yeah.
Right. I do understand the feelings on this subject. And I would like to start by saying that I actually visited Israel about 2 years ago or so, and I didn't see Gaza, but I did actually see the West Bank. I saw the wall, and I saw how difficult it is for non-Israelis to get around. I did actually experience, the blockade, experience the checkpoints. So, I have actually seen it, and I have to say I was very shocked by what I saw. And it does make you realise that although I still intellectually support the idea of a two-state solution, it would be very difficult now because of the way that the boundaries have been drawn. Israel has done it in such a way to make any sort of dividing things up, any sort of two-state solution, actually incredibly difficult. So I do recognise that. While I was there, I actually did go into Palestinian territories, and I did go to Ramallah as well. So I did actually speak to some of the Palestinian leaders. So I did actually see both sides, and I came away actually feeling that this, there are some problems in the world which appear very intractable, and I felt that kind of emotional response to it, which is not very helpful because it does need to be resolved, and it's only going to be resolved, I think, by world leaders, I think, actually getting together to deal with it, which is why I also agree that the Obama-Netanyahu talks, that getting together has been helpful. and I think we need to see an awful lot more of that. So I think that's where I stand on it. I still do support a two-state solution, but I think it's going to be very hard, and I think the situation in Israel-Palestine is getting progressively worse. And the specific question about Gaza and the blockade,